All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Pat, will you please call the roll?
Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. City of Avondale, Harold Seguina.
Present. Present.
City of Buckeye, Javier Stedovich. City of Chandler, Ryan Peters.
Present.
City of El Mirage, Amber Wakeman.
Present.
Town of Fountain Hills, Dave Trimble. Town of Gilbert, Mary Goodman. City of Glendale, Kevin Phelps. City of Goodyear, Keeney Knudsen. Maricopa County, Jason Matthews. City of Mesa, Jody Sorrell. Present. City of Peoria, Chris Hallett. City of Phoenix, Mario Paniagua.
Here.
Town of Queen Creek, Shay Joaquin.
Here.
City of Scottsdale, Mark Melanchenko.
Here.
City of Surprise, Tracy Montgomery.
Tracy Montgomery here.
You. And City of Tempe, Rosa Enchowski.
Present.
Thank you. Chair, we can proceed.
All right, thank you, Pat. If a committee member would like to ask a question or make a comment during the meeting, please type your comment in the box and it will be read aloud and answered. All meeting attendees, please mute your computer or microphone or phone. We're going to move on to agenda item 1, public comment. The public will be provided with an opportunity at this time to address the committee for non-agenda items and all action agenda items for the joint RPTA and Valley Metro Rail agendas. Up to 3 minutes will be provided per speaker. A total of 15 minutes for all speakers will be provided. Pat, do we have any public comments?
Yes, sir. We have Mr. Crowley today.
I can just talk forever, but I would like the clock on. Thanks. I was hoping that you could leave it so I could see it and deal with it. Oh, it's on now. Okay, can you restart? Thank you. No, as in 3 minutes. It's still not at 3. Now it's going backwards. I've got it. It's going. Thank you. To start off, looking at the minutes, Jessica, that false statement you did in the first line, it kind of bothers me. It says we are currently at 60% of a favorable vote. You never did get 60%, and why the county certified with that not being the case. It disappointed me, but then when I look at what you're going to be doing and dealing with it, I go to your agenda item B1, and of course it's going to be a consent. And it's $21 million for both the transit and the rail. Well, the funding that you're going to be getting with that proposition has restrictions on what the rail can get. And I didn't see on any of that summary of the competitive solutions dealings where what that proposition allows to be paid for would be a part of. So it's 21 million, and I understand that Chandler and Mesa and Phoenix are the funding source for the rail. But then where are your, how is it being done on these? You know, because according to the documents that state put out, you can't be using any of that proposition's money for anything but maintenance, and you only have a limited amount, 3% of it. And then I look at what you did accomplish with that past one. How many bus stops don't have shelters? Over 1,000 of them. And that cost how much to get done? But you want to spend $21 million on them giving you planning and that before you deal with getting the system up to standard. And I love that Phoenix says, well, we only have 900 that we're missing, and we're going to be adding another 90 every year. You had 20 years to build it right. Why? And I'd love to see you guys' plan that they're, or no, what you're doing is you're paying them to put a plan together on what you're going to be doing for the next 25 years. Gee, why don't you have something that they are supposed to be putting together? Each of your communities doing that part of it. Have a pleasant.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crowley. Agenda item 2, Jessica Meffer-Miller will provide the CEO officer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll be brief in my remarks today. I know some of us need to attend the MAG Management Committee here shortly, so I just want to touch base on schedule as we look ahead. Beyond today for our February cycle, we'll be back in this room on February 5th. Couple of items of note that I want to mention. We will have mid-year budget adjustments for RPTA and VMR at the February 5th TMC RMC. We will also have a request to review and advance to the board authorization to execute a contract for a fare collection and security services contract. Other than that, that's my only remark, Mr. Chair. Any questions I may answer?
Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda. The consent agenda is presented for action. Are there any questions or items that need to be pulled for separate discussion? Seeing none, I'll take a motion in a second to approve the consent agenda items 3A and 3B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 4, planning support services on-call contract extensions. Jessica Meffer-Miller, will you please introduce this?
I'd like to invite Trevor Collin, our Chief of Capital Development, to the podium to introduce this item.
Thank you, Jessica, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee. The item before you is a planning support services contract. We're reaching, in about 6 months, we'll reach the end of our 3-year base term for that contract. And so this action would, oh, you're good, Luis. You're a while. This action would extend the term 2 years and then also provide additional contract authority in the amount of $21 million for a total contract authority of 51 million over the term of the contract. Planning support services we use for many things, including large capital extensions, streetcars, light rails, in the future, potentially BRT. But also we do many studies on the existing, both rail and bus studies in support of the agency with this contract. So it is an on-call contract. There are 10 firms that are part of the contract, and they have a cumulative total contract authority that we work within. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I do have Marty Zeke here, who is the contract lead.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I will take a motion and a second to forward this item to the joint boards of directors for approval. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Or sorry, I have to take a motion first.
Move approval.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Now all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, motion passes. 5, travel and expenditures. Are there any questions for the committee on this item? It's for information only. Okay, report on current events. Any current events or suggested future agenda items for consideration? Seeing none, the meeting is adjourned. The next meeting is on Wednesday, February 5th. That's the wrong entry. And then now I'm going to call the meeting of the Transit Management Committee to order. Consent agenda is presented for action. Are there any questions or any items that need to be pulled for separate discussion? Seeing none.
This is, I have one. This is Harold from Avondale. Just want to have a quick conversation about the item C.
Okay. Do you want us to pull it for separate action or just ask questions?
Just answer some questions. That's fine. We can vote on it together.
Okay. Our speaker is at the podium. Go ahead and
Okay.
proceed with your question.
So I just want to make sure, I know this is just an authorization for consulting for fuel hedging. Just kind of want to, I saw the graphs here in regards to the increases in specifically natural gas. I've worked a lot more with fuel and diesel over the years. Is natural gas more volatile, less volatile? I just want to understand compared to our diesel and fuel. And diesel and unleaded hedging can be a positive, but can also be a detriment or negative into the long run, but potentially, just depending upon where the markets end. So just kind of want to get a little bit of understanding of why we would like to look into this overall.
Yes, thank you for that question, Chair, members of the committee. To this point, Valley Metro has not embarked on fuel hedging. In looking at this and talking to some folks across the industry, we thought it would be a good idea to make the investment and bring on a consultant to assist us in this effort. Looking at some transit industry-wide numbers over the last decade or so, there's been enough volatility to show that there is an advantage to be gained by doing fuel hedging. Obviously, timing is important and so forth. And, you know, there's market fluctuations in both the natural gas as well as the petroleum-based fuel industries. So we think this is an opportunity to save some money in the long run, lock in pricing at a certain point that it makes sense on our natural gas and potentially our diesel and unleaded as well. They're, of course, a much smaller part of our overall budget because most of our fleet does operate on natural gas. And, you know, hopefully in the long run, look at this as something that actually generates revenue for the agency.
Okay. And will any action be taken after the consultant is finished with their review? Will the action item be brought back to us to review on doing some hedging?
Yes, as we go through the process after we onboard a consultant and we come up with a fuel strategy and policy, we will bring that back to the board.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Certainly.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, seeing none, now I'll take a motion and a second to approve consent agenda items 1A through 1D.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. A report on current events and suggested future agenda items. Are there any reports or agenda items? Seeing none, our next meeting is Wednesday, February 5th at 11 a.m. Now this meeting is adjourned.
I'm going to call the January meeting of the Rail Management Committee to order. We have 4 items on the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions or any items they would like pulled? Any questions? Okay, with that, seeing none, do we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Okay, the consent agenda passes. Item number 2, the Rio East Dobson Streetcar Extension, locally preferred alternative. Jessica.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to invite Trevor Collin to the podium for agenda items actually 2 through 4. As you're aware, the Rio East Dobson streetcar locally preferred alternative was recently adopted by the councils from the cities of Mesa and Tempe. This must also necessarily go through the Valley Metro Rail Board after those cities adopt that LPA. It would also go through Maricopa Association of Governments. Next, Trevor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. The item before you is the Rio East Dobson Streetcar Extension locally preferred alternative for approval. For quick background, there are 2 streetcar extensions included in the Momentum 2050 plan, and that's the red one, which is the Rio East Dobson, the item of note today, and then the Fiesta streetcar extension, which is the item in the bottom right in that green color. When we're looking at a locally preferred alternative, what we're approving is a mode, and in this instance, that would be streetcar, and then a route. And so the route would continue east on Rio Salado through Tempe and then into Mesa, and then it would turn south on Dobson Road to Main Street with a close connection to our existing light rail system, which is the blue line. With that, unless there's any questions, the recommendation language is before you is for to move on to the board approval of the locally preferred alternative for this project.
Any questions for Trevor on this project? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the LPA for this Rio East Dobson streetcar project?
Motion to approve.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No, this item passes. Item number 3, the South Central Extension Downtown Hub Project Design Services Contract Authority.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll invite Mr. Collin back. We are now, we believe, inside of 6 months of opening the South Central Extension and Downtown Hub. We're making tremendous progress on the project. Items 3 and 4 represent request to increase contract authority for first design services with AECOM, and then number 4, construction manager at risk services with Kiewit. Mr. Collin, would you walk us through item 3?
Sure, thank you. Again, Madam Chair, members of the committee. The first item is our contract with AECOM, who performed and is still performing design services during construction for the South Central project. We are reaching the later stages of this project, and these list some of the reasons we're seeking additional contract authority in the amount of $1.1 million. They do continue to provide those design services during construction, but some things were also introduced, such as a lighting project on the Salt River Bridge, some break room facilities at 3rd Avenue, and some other items that have contributed towards this request for contract authority increase. With that, the recommendations before you, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on this item?
I move approval.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. This item passes. And we're moving on to item number 4. Trevor, the South Central Extension Downtown Hub Construction Manager at Risk, additional contract authority.
Yes, so the design contract was the item before. This is the construction contract that we have with Kiewit Construction. We are looking at a request for additional authority in the amount of about 77 million, just under 77 million. It would bring the overall contract authority to just over $1 billion. The majority of this request is to settle a lot of schedule and outstanding issues, which was recently done just over the holiday season, I'm happy to report. But there's also other things that as the design developed, also as we were constructing, that we had to address. Also, we are taking into account the construction costs for that break room and for the bridge lighting, those unforeseens. So with that, the request is for that just over $76 million in additional expenditure authority for the construction contract for South Central. Again, happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for Trevor? Okay, do we have a motion
Questions? I move approval.
and a second? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. This item passes to move on to the board. Item number 5, any report on current events or suggested future agenda items? Seeing none, the next meeting of the Rail Management Committee will be Wednesday, February 5th at 11 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.